All right, we'll get started. So welcome everyone to Trent University's Winter Open House. I'm excited to present the chemical engineering session. I am Megan and I'll be your moderator for this session. With me today, I have Professor and Department Chair of Chemistry, Dr. Stephen Rafferty, as well as Assistant Professor of Chemistry, Dr. Kate Stewart. And I have second year chemical engineering student, Evan Rhodes. Is that how you say their last name? Sorry, I should have asked you that before.
Right, that's okay, close enough.
Okay. Sorry about that. We're very excited for the path that you have ahead of you. We look forward to sharing all the reasons why Trent University has been rated #1 undergraduate university for 11 consecutive years in a row. During this session, you can ask questions in the chat. And at the end of the session, we'll have a short question and answer period with some of our panel members. I invite you to add your questions in the chat box that you can find at the bottom right of your screen. And the presentation will also be offered with closed captioning. So how you can enable that is going to the top little three or the top bottom buttons, and you can just press show subtitles. On our events page for our virtual open house, we have live chats happening until 3 p.m. today. So if you have any further questions about admissions, student life, any of our resources, please feel free to go in there and talk to some current students and staff live. And it's going to be another Zoom presentation, so you can ask any questions you'd like. And then you can also just type, we also have a little chat box that you also can just go in and type some quick questions, and we also have students answering those. So with that, we'll get started with our presentation. First off, we have Dr. Stephen Rafferty with this presentation, as well as with Dr. Kate Stewart.
Thank you. Before I start this presentation, I'm not a chemical engineer. I was briefly for 4 months at Waterloo before I switched into biochemistry, but Professor Stewart is a bona fide chemical engineer, and so for the questions that pertain to that, Kate is probably the person you should really talk to. Nonetheless, because I am chair of the department, it falls to me to make the presentation, to make the pitch, so I will do that now. So I'll just share the screen, and we'll talk about this program. So this is a dual degree program that's offered between Trent University in Peterborough, Ontario, and Swansea in the UK. And let's see, here we go. What is this? Well, it's a program that lets you get 2 degrees. That's what's called the dual degree. You get, in 4 years of study, you earn your general BSc in chemistry at Trent. And you also, from Swansea, you get your Bachelor of Engineer in Chemical Engineering. So you get these 2 for studying for 4 years. So you may know where Trent is. Trent is in Peterborough, and if you're in Ontario, you have a vague idea maybe that it's somewhere between Toronto and Kingston. That's sort of true. You may not know where Swansea is. So Swansea's in the UK. It's right there where that star is. And if you want to zoom in closer, that's actually in Wales, so the far west of the island of the British Isles. And it's actually a city of about 200,000 people. And it's about 3 hours train ride, I believe, from London. So once you get to the UK, flying through Heathrow, you grab a train, and within 3 hours, you're in Swansea. And maps really don't do it justice. So I found this picture. Evan, is this the picture of the Bay campus? Is it really this beautiful?
Yeah, that's where the engineering is.
Right. Okay. As you can see, it's right on the seaside. It's right by the beach. I think there's pictures you can find where people are surfing here somewhere. And here's the engineering buildings right here. Trent's campus in Peterborough is also beautiful. We only have a river though running through it, and here you've got the whole ocean here. So this is where you'll be spending 2 years of your life in this degree program. And so the features of this program are that you would obtain both the chemistry and chemical engineering degrees within 4 years. Because you're doing this in another country, you're getting some global experience. So you study both in Canada and the UK as you become a chemical engineer. So I think this would also appeal to people who have an adventurous nature as well, too, who aren't afraid to do something a little bit different from the conventional way of doing things. If you're from Ontario, Trent is a nice university to go to and to find your feet. And perhaps once you've done a couple of years here, you're ready to go and seek challenges elsewhere. And the UK is a nice place to do this. You can also do your summer engineering placements in the UK, so you're eligible for these. And to become a professional engineer in Canada, you do need some industrial experience. And so these placements do count towards that, as you can see here. So how this works, you would do 2 years at Trent. Basically, this is just a list of what seem to be for you just random course names, but essentially what you're going to be taking is all the courses you would think you would need to take as a chemical engineer. So in first year, you'll be taking introductory chemistry, 1000H, and 1010H in the winter term. These are the 2 calculus courses here, the pair of physics courses, also an algebra course, computer science course, and all Trent students, regardless of their program, have to take a half credit in Indigenous Studies. That's this course right there. So this would be for your first year. Basically, these would be intro chemistry, intro physics, intro calculus. In your year 2, you'd be doing organic chemistry. That's these 2 courses here. This is your analytical chemistry course. This 2500 and 3520H, those are our pair of physical chemistry courses. You take a chemical engineering course, Chem 2801H here, and the remaining math courses that you see here, these are further calculus courses. So if you're thinking about, well, what are the math components of chemical engineering, it is a whole lot of calculus. And so these are the courses you take while you're at Trent in Peterborough. I mentioned Peterborough just because we have 2 campuses for Trent. One is in Oshawa. All of this would be at the Peterborough campus. Once you've done that successfully, then you spend 2 years at Swansea, and you enter directly into year 2 of what is the 3-year program there. And here, because this is at Swansea, I can't really speak to what is the nature of these modules. But if you are curious about this, you can always email me at chemistry@trentu.ca, and I could contact the people at Swansea to find out what these are all about. And this does involve in your 3rd year what is called a major design project, and perhaps Professor Stewart can speak to what that would be involved in that as well too. So that's what you do. Here's how much it costs. For your first 2 years at Trent, if you're a Canadian citizen, London immigrant, etc., you would pay domestic tuition. So that would be the tuition. Probably if you're in first year, you want to be in residence, you would pay for your residence and for your meal plan. In year 2, you'd still pay tuition, but by that time, perhaps you found roommates you can live off campus with. When you go to Swansea in year 3, you would be paying international tuition fees there, which is £20,000. There are residence options available for the dual degree students, and you would also pay for international tuition at Swansea for year 4. The good news, though, is that Swansea does provide £3,000 per year, or sorry, £3,000 per year to students who are in this dual degree program. Now, the other main thing is accreditation. To become a professional engineer, it's not just enough that you take the degree. This program is accredited in the UK, so there are bodies that accredit these degrees. Typically, these are professional engineering bodies. So these will be accredited by the different governments. So in the UK, if you graduate with this dual degree, you do qualify as a chemical engineer for the UK. In Ontario, these would be certified by the Professional Engineers of Ontario and the Canadian Engineering Accreditation Board, or CEAB. So we are still waiting on this. So we're working on recognition by these boards so that, when you're finished, you would be recognized as being accredited. But because our program is still so new, these boards have said, let's wait to see what the students are like when they finish this, then we'll talk about accreditation. So it's kind of in the works right now. You can be evaluated individually as well too, and then they can judge whether or not you would qualify as an engineer. And you would also, in addition to this, you would have to have some work experience, 48 months work experience, and to write exams to qualify as a professional engineer in Ontario. And as I mentioned before, the work placement that you would do in Swansea in your 4th year there, that would count towards that 48th month total. So here's some useful links. But again, because there seems to be a lot of them right here, if you have more questions, probably the simplest thing to do would be to either email me at chemistry@trentu.ca or chemicalengineering@trentu.ca. Doesn't matter which address you use, they both come to me, the same person. So I could answer any questions that you may have. So that's all I needed to say, I think, or I'm qualified to say. I think what we can do then is turn it over to some people who can answer your questions with some precision, such as Evan. He can tell what it's like for the program, and Kate can address any questions about what's involved in being a chemical engineer. And if she says, no, that's completely wrong what you're saying, then who am I to disagree with her? So.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Next we have Kate. Do you want to add anything to that presentation?
I think that was a pretty good overview. I know you had mentioned the design project, so I'm not entirely sure exactly how Swansea does their design project, but typically a 4th year design project is done in groups. I've seen in a few universities that have done it, and so it's a small group and you're working towards some either research project or actually trying to build some type of device, and ultimately that tends to culminate in some type of capstone presentation where the students are basically presenting all the work that they did.
Wonderful. So at this time, then we will move into our questions and answer period. If you have any questions about chemical engineering, please add it to the chat that's located at the bottom right of the screen, and we'll do our best to get to everyone's questions. During the question and answer period, we will be focusing on chemical engineering. If you have any questions about student life, residence, tuition, all that fun stuff, definitely jump over to our virtual open house page and we will have students or staff answer you quickly. So maybe we can ask, actually to start off this question and answer period, asking Evan some questions. So what do you love most about this program, Evan?
I think obviously, as Professor Rafferty talked about at the beginning, you get your 2 degrees in 4 years, but for me, it's being able to study both chemistry and chemical engineering. And we were all talking about it beforehand. They're very different. There's obviously similarities, but I like math probably as much as chemistry. And there's a lot more math in chemistry and chemical engineering. So being able to study both is definitely a big factor. And also, if you're thinking about engineering, you're probably the type of person that goes, well, why are we learning this science? How can we apply it? And I think this year, with our first engineering course, you're starting to see, real world applications of what you've learned in chemistry and science so far.
Absolutely. And that campus is not half bad, eh?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the bridge can be a bit chilly in the winter, but the campus is very nice. Yeah.
And the Swansea one, I mean, having a little bit of both of those campuses is like the perfect ideal campuses. So what advice would you give students that are planning to study in chemical engineering?
I don't know about chemical engineering in general. That would be maybe up to Professor Stewart, but at Trent, certainly in the program, time management, I have that started here. That's a tip probably for any university course, that is. But if you manage your time well, you ask questions, the professors are there to help. Everybody wants to see you succeed. If you, put in the work, manage your time, it's not gonna lie to you, it's a lot of work, but it's certainly doable. But yeah, just have fun. And if you put the time in, you'll get the rewards for sure.
It'll definitely be worth it. Thank you so much, Evan. That was wonderful. For Dr. Stewart and Dr. Rafferty, you had mentioned in your presentation before, but could you reiterate how students can get in contact with you if they have any other questions about this program? Oh, sorry. Stephen, you're muted.
Yeah. Saw that right away. Probably the best way is email. So it was chemical engineering at trentu.ca or chemistry. They would both get to me. And actually, the courses that you take, I think, as first year chemical engineer here, are actually quite similar to the courses you would be taking as a chemistry major as well too. And in fact, most of the students you would be with would be either chemistry students or students in other chemistry related programs as well too.
Wonderful. There are a lot of other resources available today to help you with any other questions. So definitely please take a moment and explore some of the other sessions and chats offered by visiting our event page. So that's trentu.ca/virtual open house 2022. Is there any other questions? I just want to open up the floor to see if there's any other questions that anybody might have for this. All right. Well, and if you ever need to reach out to them, you know where to find them at both the email addresses that they've given. So it looks like we've reached the end of our presentation. So I would really like to thank our members of the panel for being here. Thank you so much, Dr. Stewart. Thank you, Dr. Rafferty, as well as Evan. It was wonderful to hear from this program and everything that it entails. This session will be recorded and will be posted to our open house website. So make sure if you'd like to rewatch it or if you have any other questions, you can revisit this. And I would like to invite everyone to visit our first in-person open house that's happening on May 7th at our Peterborough campus. The Trent experience is an in-person experience. We really want you to be able to explore our campuses. So you can register by trentu.ca/open house. And there's a lot of other great sessions happening. Our virtual open house happens until 3 p.m. So I hope to see you at some other sessions. Enjoy the rest of the event, everyone.
Yeah, and I think that when they run those that spring in-person open house, they will probably take you on tours to the chemistry building as well too, so you can see how nice the Peterborough campus is. It's okay. We don't have a beach. You can't surf here, but the building is nice, and there is the instrumentation you'll be working with is actually, I think, we're quite proud of that. So if you do come by for the in-person open house, do drop by the chemistry building. We'd be happy to show you around. Okay.
Absolutely. We hope to see you at the in-person open house. I'll be there, and I'm sure Dr. Rafferty as well as Dr. Stewart will be there as well. So hope to see you there.